Alternative investments has a lot of attention here at Wealth Management Edge, but what's next? Where are we at? And what do we need to know? I'm joined today by Zach Ivey to discuss just that. Zach, how are you doing? Welcome to Boca Raton, Florida.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been good so far.
Yeah, a little different than Alabama, I know, but
Little different, same temperature,
Nice.
same humidity, but yeah, a little different view.
so from your perspective, what are the trends that you're seeing right now when it comes to alternative investments?
Yeah, I think from all of our sessions, it's just evident, I think, to anyone who's kind of paying attention that, you know, this isn't a trend that's going away.
Right.
It's been building for some period of time, but I think just the proliferation of different structures. We were talking in some of these sessions, and I think adoption today is like 3%. So most advisors have a little taste of alternatives maybe in the portfolio, but if you look at where the trends are headed, people are headed up to, you know, a meaningful allocation in alternatives, you know, 10, 20%, which, you know, we think is kind of probably the right place to be.
So when you say meaningful, you're saying 10, 20%, where will that come out of? What do you think the breakdown, shakedown is going to be at?
Yeah, well, I think, you know, everybody's going to source it differently, and obviously things like private equity are probably coming off the equity side, and people wanting to boost income probably comes off the bond side, the private credit, things like that. So you're seeing those type of alternatives, but of course, as you know, there's all types of alternatives.
Yes.
And so, you know, all these different structures, different strategies, blending those together, some will come off of a mix.
A lot of conversations about liquidity in alts as well right now. Tell me a little bit about liquid alts, and do alts need to be liquid?
Yeah. Well, so in the alternative landscape, a lot of the discussion, people are using synonymously private markets with alts, but they're not the same.
Right.
So private markets are a sub-segment of alternatives, and most of those are not going to be liquid. But there are new structures that are coming out that give us some limited liquidity. And you know, that's a feature, not a flaw. So limited liquidity allows us to access these parts of the market that used to be, you know, institutional only, but now we can use them for private clients. And you know, but you know, advisors need to educate themselves. They need to educate their clients before investing in these, and then think about it when sizing and building these allocations, because, you know, semi-liquid isn't liquid. So, you know, you do have to prepare in advance for that.
So it sounds like folks are getting a little more creative when it comes to alts too, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I think, again, a lot of these institutional investors, your Blackstones, your Goldmans of the world have been serving these markets, are looking at, you know, really the opportunity in the private wealth market. And so they're looking at, you know, what strategies make sense, what structures maybe get away from some of these drawdown structures to something that's a little more friendly for advisors to use, it's a little more client friendly, not dealing with J curves and things like that. So yeah, I think the more that we have there, you're going to see more adoption by advisors.
So what's next from here? What has you excited for the future in alts?
Well, you know, at Savant, we really think about alts not as a shiny object, but as just building out that third leg to the diversification stool. And, you know, we want to provide robust, diversified portfolios for clients. And so when we think about, you know, the risk that we have in equity, we know what fixed income does. We're just looking to add to that. So, you know, the more products, the more asset classes that become available, you know, I'm excited to have more and more to look at. And we're very research driven, so we're not chasing fads, but, you know, we are looking at, you know, markets evolve. And so we want to be, you know, studying that and utilizing, you know, new things in the future.
Zach, some great insights. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you.
For Edge TV, I'm Matt Ackerman.